Okay, welcome to the Michael Wisdom channel. And if you see me on Instagram, I speak about primal law, about men being in love with women. Not really. It's about legacy. We have so many people talking about dating, the problems in relationships. Men can't find, women can't find, but really no one knows the heart of the matter. Well, a few people do, but then they don't really speak online. And I'm usually quite secretive. I don't actually like to be on camera, even though you might find I've got quite a few followers, but really I don't. But it's a way of reaching a wide audience, people like yourself. And it's something that God asked me to do to help men create stronger legacies. Unfortunately, it means that you're going to have to suck it up and learn how to have better relationships with women. I did actually see an article where men are actually able now. I think there's a law now in Holland where men can actually recreate an embryo with another male's DNA. So two gay couples can have a child, which will bring some other problems that you don't even want to know. But put it this way, there was a reason why God flooded the world many hundreds of years ago because of certain chimeras. And that was when certain animal breeds were mixed with other animal breeds to form a new breed that just became super demonic. So I want to speak about this today as well. The problems that you're seeing is, to an extent, part of a large demonic agenda, a demonic force on this planet, which is there to test the values of mankind. So in a way, it's a bit of a flood in itself, but it's one without water. And it's here to basically flush away people who don't get it, that God is the greatest, who want to push God values down and promote degenerate values within themselves and to take them on from other people. And unfortunately, these people are going to be very unlikely to have children going forward in the future. So who will? It will be the godly man. Godly men are sexy. They're the best. But somehow, because of certain infiltration into media by certain institutions and certain people who like to play games with people's lives and future, because now money is no longer important for them, they promote these demonic agendas because they like to destroy people. That's what they get some joy from this. Now, I understand demonic force. I understand evil. So what I do is in my community, I teach people about all forms of dark arts and evil that you may not be able to see on the surface. Because eventually you're going to have to use these things against your opposition. So if you're an equal and opposite force, they're very unlikely to come towards you, right? Because what they want to do is they want to attack people who are much more unaware. Where when you are more aware, you and your family are more likely to be left alone because you're a much harder target to break down. So it means then you're going to live a lot more in peace. Now, having these certain traits is going to make you a lot more attractive to a very healthy, vibrant, clean woman who's also godly, right? Because that's what she wants. She doesn't want this energy in her household. She wasn't raised that way. But as a man, your job is to understand these areas so then you can actually protect against it. One of the ways problems in relationships have been instigated is through the sexual interactions that we have with women. It's very different now compared to our parents' generation, our grandparents, let's say from the 50s and 60s, where in the 1950s, we were just coming out of traditional relationships. So now we were breaking through into liberal ways of living in the 60s, free love and all of that. But because free love was new in the 60s, people were still fairly clean. They were meeting up with people in their area, but probably not too many. Obviously, there were some that obviously went overboard for sure. But what I can say right now in 2026, because of the expansion of social media and the internet, many more people are making more sexual interactions with each other. Now, what does this mean? Well, it means it counts because that's why it's known as body count. And it does work for men as well as it works for women. So what does the count actually mean? It means because sex has the word X in it, EX, it means exchange. You know, regardless of whether you're wearing a condom or not, information is transmitted spiritually from the man into the woman. But it also does work the same way. The man also receives some energy from being deep inside of the woman. So the condom doesn't really stop this transaction taking place because a condom is a much more dense material, and spiritual information, which is obviously less dense, can pass through a denser form. So it does mean that if both parties have had a lot of sexual relations, we have lots of men and women walking around with tremendous amounts of sexual contracts, okay? Because sex is an agreement that you agree with someone else's values. And what it's showing is that you've got all of these different agreements within your system that you don't actually agree with because you're not with those previous partners anymore. You're not living with them. They're not under your roof. They're not following your system and your program. So that way, the man's energy towards a woman looks confused because women are emotional, and so they can read all energy in motion. And that's what they're reading from men. But also us men, because we also have half of our mothers within us, we can also feel and read this information, even if we may not understand it on the surface. So what this means then is that you kind of feel and understand that a woman's racked up a high body count, and you're more likely to accept it if you've kind of done it yourself. What this does is that now when you're getting together, you're going to have so much energy from different people in between both of you. So it means that you can't pair bond completely and deeply. And this is more important for the man because you want the woman on your program. Babe, make me a dinner. Yes, love. Babe, can I have a breakfast? Yes, love. That's a woman getting on your program. And if women are not getting on your program, it does signify that there's a lot of energy that's in the middle. But more importantly, just for you, it does mean that you could be walking around with so many other people's energy and trauma. And not only that, if a woman that you've met has been open to other sexual relations in the past, and let's say that the other men are a reflection of her, which means that those men are open, that woman could be walking around with hundreds of sexual spiritual contracts on her body. And by you inserting into her, you are likely to pick those energies up and hold them against yourself. So now in Western society, we have a lot of people, men and women, walking around with hundreds of spiritual bodies, which means that they can't procreate cleanly. That's why they're not procreating. This is the dark force, the unseen that is happening. This is what people can't see so that they don't understand. So now you guys, you can understand this now. So what do you do with this? All right, Mike, you're telling me about, maybe I'm walking around with hundreds of spiritual contracts on my body because I've been sleeping with the wrong women. I can't attract there's no clean women out there. Well, the thing is, you can't see them. You can't see them around you because energetically they can't come near you. They are there because there's always women turning 18, 19, 20 every single day that are protected by their fathers. Those women still exist, but you can't see them. The only thing is, I would say, is that they are now fewer and farther between. So it does mean you have to be the very best man to be able to attract these women in. Now, what the internet will tell you is that the best man is an Andrew Tate. Hundreds of millions of dollars, 100 cars in the garage, and he has 10 girlfriends. Well, what I would say to that is that someone like that is very extreme. It doesn't mean it's the best. That might work for him. And he's already got kids. He's already got his legacy. But there are plenty of people who are trying to follow that example and they can't keep up. And maybe they've got 10 girlfriends, but they're not building any legacy. And maybe with those 10 girlfriends, they've got lots of spiritual contracts sitting on their body. So if they haven't had kids before, it's very unlikely that they're going to have kids going forward in future unless they clean. But to be the best man, you're going to have to figure out a way where you can clean, which is what we do in our community. And we show men how to do the cleaning process and then how to honor their ancestors from inside. So then once you've done that, you are a high value man because your ancestors within you have lived for hundreds of years. So if you learn to value that internally, you're racking up those numbers through awareness, and you're just going to start moving differently through life. You're going to just be moving differently through the way you view women. You're only going to accept a woman now that's going to be a mirror of you. And so that in essence is going to make you more attractive to higher level women. So these are things that we do. So cleaning and being the high level man within is a value that money cannot buy. It can't buy it. So if you have that, I can tell you one thing, it will help you to attract that clean feminine women. And the motivation you will get to become even richer is a force that only God knows. But you will know it once you're in that position. Because I understand that, you know, when you're looking at all these modern women out there at the moment, you don't feel like protecting them if they've had so much experience in life. You don't want to give to them. It's a big risk because subconsciously you understand that they've got so many other energies in front of what could potentially be yours. Maybe if you do try and have a child with this woman, the kid may not end up with fully your program. It might end up with many other men's program that were entering her from before. That's not a good basis to continue your family's legacy, is it? But what we can't do is we can't be like these red pill and just stay in limbo. Oh, let's just sleep with the women because they're not good enough. I'm just going to keep myself single. You're still going to end up negating yourself in that process. You're still not going to make it through. It's the same result as the guy who's sleeping around with lots of bad women if you choose not to entertain any women at all. So there's a certain way you have to entertain women into your life, but it will come through from having the correct energy structure. Now, this has been distorted. Like I said, it's been distorted in men and women. Free love, the promotion of degeneracy. And when you see it, because it's been bombarded on a daily basis, it then gets into your mind as something which is normal. So then you just take it as normality, you take it as culture in the 2020s, when really these things have been shaped by certain individuals that have certain power. Because they understand that if they can decrease your values whilst their values stay intact, it creates a gap in numbers. And from that gap in numbers, from dividing and conquering you, they can then now rule by having higher values over the ones who have lower values. So it means then you can't go above. It's a way of controlling people and keeping themselves in power. It's a bit like the game of chess. If you can move a man out of position, the king out of position, and he doesn't have his family around him, his space is open. Now you can attack him with so many different things. Porn, alcohol, drink, plenty of women. He'll be reduced to dust without having anything to fight for him in his future. That's what these elites are trying to do. But if you have your family next to you, your queen, your bishops, knights, and castles, now you can fight a proper battle for the good of humanity. And I'll tell you why it's needed. Because we're all producing goods and services, and we are producing these services and goods to help others to have an easier life. But to have a future of your business going forward, well, obviously you need human beings to be produced more or less with the same types of values that you have. Community values, nation values. Otherwise, I mean, who are you going to be selling your products to in the future? And you can't wait for another man to do it. It has to come from you. So like I said, this game is not just about money. There's plenty of men who've got money, but they don't have their internal values intact. They're also losing the battle because they are full of so many people's energy within them. But if you can have the correct values within you, money is not going to be a problem, especially in this world, right? Because people want to be more gravitationally pulled towards what's good in a sea of degeneracy, because what is good is true and everybody is attracted to that. So look, if you'd like to learn more, I'd suggest that you go to the link, because we have our school academy, and it's not just an academy, it's a community of men who have good values, of men who only want clean women. Okay, we're not going to be talking about Instagram models or any of that. That makes no sense to us, because those types of women are not going to build us. They're not going to cook for us. They're not going to raise our children. So similar men of similar values who will only accept women who are likely. I'm saying likely because you still have to get to know the women. But these women are likely to produce your children. You have to look past the woman, right? Not just look, oh, how hot she is and like we enjoy ourselves hanging out. That's just one part. But can you see past the woman? Can you see your legacy from her? That's the only thing that matters. And that's all we will focus on in our community when it comes to women. The other part is we're going to learn about evil. We're going to learn about all of the dark arts. We're going to learn how to use energy in the unseen so you can transact without even saying words. You could save your words for other things that are more important and only speak a few words, especially to women, because they read the energy and that energy holds them in place. And we will also look through where there could be some discrepancies, where you could possibly be at risk, because there's a lot of men that get divorced where the women say, oh, I don't love you anymore. I don't feel connected to you anymore. We're going to look at all of these things ahead. And by using energetic force, keep these connections in place. It doesn't matter whether you're traveling. The woman's always going to be in place because you're going to know how to use your energy and move it, even if you're on the other side of the world. So you go to that link. See you later.